The Red Raiders look to end their regular season off on a high note with a top 15 victory over number 11 Baylor on senior night at the USA. In today's video, we'll preview the matchup, give you the latest when it comes to Warren, Washington, and also discuss each and every scenario for the Red Raiders to secure the double bye in Kansas City. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And by now, you know what question I'm about to ask you on a preview video. Give me your score prediction. Let me know your score prediction for number 11 Baylor at Texas Tech down on the pinned comment below. I'll have mine shortly here in the video, and it might surprise some people, but we'll get there here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and set the scene for this one as, well, it's senior night for Texas Tech. There's going to be a few guys honored before the game for the Red Raiders. This one will take place at the USA. Tip-off is scheduled for 5 p.m. Central Time, and you can watch the game on ESPN2 or listen to those dulcet tones of Jeff Haxton over on Guns Up Radio and Double T 97.3. Now, the history between Texas Tech and Baylor, it goes back a ways, but really, let's just look at this season real quick. Baylor took the first matchup of the year. No Warren, Washington in that one for Texas Tech, and maybe no Warren, Washington in this one for Texas Tech. But the Baylor Bears did win that one 79-73. Remember, that's the game where quite a few people on Twitter and Texas Tech fandom said the Red Raiders quit. Obviously, they were wrong, but I like to point those kind of things out. Now, when it comes to the all-time series for Texas Tech, the Red Raiders actually hold the all-time series record against Baylor. 80-62. That kind of surprised me a little bit. But the Red Raiders are ahead in the all-time series, and unfortunately for the Red Raiders, they have lost 3 of the last 4 home matchups at the friendly confines of the USA against Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears. But I can tell you this. I know you're excited about March Madness. I am too. You need to get that proper shirt, jacket, whatever it may be, and the best place to do it for your Texas Tech fandom is at homefieldapparel.com. They make all kinds of vintage t-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets. They have a sick bomber jacket that quite a few people in the comments here on the YouTube channel have actually gotten. It's probably my favorite Texas Tech bomber jacket that I've seen any company make. You can own it. It's very simple. All you have to do is go to homefieldapparel.com and use the code BACK212 to save 15% off. Just not your favorite Texas Tech shirt, but your entire purchase over on homefieldapparel.com. Get ready for March Madness the best way possible over at Home Field Apparel and save 15% doing it by using the code BACK212. All right, the latest Warren Washington injury update is this. There's no real update other than the fact that I was told that he's been progressing the way that they want him to, which read the tea leaves. I don't know at that point. I don't think anybody knows outside of the people in that building really what's going on. I think when you look at it from the standpoint of this, I would be surprised if Warren Washington does play for Texas Tech against the Baylor Bears on senior night, because it feels like the best course of action for me, at least in my opinion, right, is to let him rest as long as possible. And there's a scenario, depending on what day Texas Tech plays in the NCAA tournament, that Warren Washington could sit out 27 to 28 days in terms of his last game down in Orlando to the game that they play in the NCAA tournament, wherever that may be. Now, obviously, he would practice before that, but to have potentially 3 weeks off for that foot and to get him back to maybe 75, 80% of what Warren Washington is and put him in there for, 12 to 18 minutes, I think is a much more viable plan for Texas Tech and their chances of doing what they want to do in the NCAA tournament, which is obviously win games. So that's really the Warren Washington update right now. He's progressing, heading in the right direction, and they feel confident that he could potentially get back on the floor here in the not-too-distant future for the Red Raiders. Now, it's interesting because I'm just going to go ahead and bring up all these scenarios. These things are crazy. Shout out to Jacob Harris of The Nation when it comes down to all of these possibilities for Texas Tech in terms of getting that double bye, which is important. Again, you have a small rotation. If you're Texas Tech, you want to make sure you get as much rest as possible if you're the Red Raiders. This is how Texas Tech can secure the double bye. The easiest route is simple and plain. You win. You beat Baylor, you have a top 4 seed and would actually clinch the 3 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Now, this is where things get tricky. If Texas Tech lost to Baylor on Saturday and if Kansas won, they will secure the 4 seed. If Kansas wins, BYU wins, and TCU wins, there will be a tiebreaker between Texas Tech, TCU, and BYU. The Red Raiders would get the 5 seed and miss out on the double bye. Now, if Kansas loses, Texas Tech automatically earns the 4th seed. The tiebreaker solutions are below. So if Kansas loses, BYU wins, TCU wins, there would be a 4-way tie for 4th place, according to Jacob. And the tiebreaker would go as follows. Texas Tech would get the 4 seed, the double bye, which would be huge. BYU 5, Kansas 6, TCU 7. So again, what it comes down to is this for Texas Tech. If you win, you're good. Like, that's it. Like, win the game and you're good. Now, obviously much easier said than done. But if you're a Texas Tech fan, you do like the, let's just say, possibilities of Kansas going down to Houston and the Cougars trying to get some revenge after what happened to them up at Allen Fieldhouse. And Houston may have the best home court advantage in all of college basketball. So you like that matchup. And again, huge shout out to Jacob for laying that out, because I'm going to be honest, I tried to figure it out myself, but there were so many things going on. So shout out to him on that respect. And now you know, if Texas Tech wins, they've got the 3 seed. That's huge for the Red Raiders, and they finished 3rd in the Big 12. Now, if they lose and Kansas loses as well, it doesn't matter what happens behind them. Hey, you've got that 4 seed locked in if you're the Red Raiders. All right, must-watch matchup for Texas Tech in this one. Pace and space. Remember that game that Texas Tech had in Waco? They fell behind a little bit. They got down by double digits, and things shifted for the Red Raiders when they went to the small ball lineup, really prioritized getting out in transition and making sure that they could create space, not only for shooters, but driving lanes for Joe Toussaint, Pop Isaacs, Chance McMillan, Darian Williams, whoever it may be. That's what Texas Tech is going to have to do against the Baylor Bears, because let's face it, Baylor's really freaking good. I think the number 11 next to their name proves that. But for those that don't believe in the AP poll, kind of like myself, I think it's a fun thing to look at, but doesn't really tell the whole story. Baylor has a ton of length defensively, and is one of those teams that their defensive metrics aren't great, but they present matchups that a lot of teams can't figure out just because of the length that they present, whether that's Messi up there in the front court, whether that's Bridges. You've got multiple guys, and by the way, it's Messi, not Messi. My goodness, I don't know where the soccer came from on that part, but they present a lot of issues, do the Baylor Bears, in the sense of length. The best way to really navigate length and make sure it doesn't have that huge impact on what you're trying to do if you're Texas Tech, pace and space. And that means get the ball into Joe Toussaint, Pop Isaac's hands as quick as possible and let them go downhill. And I think that that's what Texas Tech will do in this matchup. Now, when it comes down to odds and prediction in this one, it's truly a pick 'em. Bart Torvart, T-Rank over there, actually has Texas Tech as a half-point favorite in this one, but it is a true pick 'em when you look at the percentages for this matchup. He gives Texas Tech a 51% chance to win, and you can see my score prediction down at the bottom of your screen right there. I have the Red Raiders getting some revenge on the Baylor Bears and winning on senior night by a score of 81-77. Texas Tech secures a top 4 seed in the Big 12 and gets the double bye, something that I don't think can go understated for the Red Raiders in terms of how little depth they have in this one, and just making sure that they get that extra rest and hopefully get Warren Washington as close to 100% as possible for the big dance. Now, I want to hear from you guys one more time before we head out of here. Let me know your score prediction for number 11 Baylor at Texas Tech out at the USA, was tip-off scheduled for 5 p.m. on ESPN2 for senior night out at the USA. I am RC Maxfield, reminding you one more time, if you want to stay in the know on everything Texas Tech men's basketball and join the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, it's really simple. All you got to do is 3 simple things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell.